I'm Luke and today we're diving down the Tube of Toons to review Justice Society World War II. So this is the latest film in the DC animated original movies line that come out on digital download and direct to video. So I just want to start off and say that I was actually pretty hyped for this film, and I was planning on doing a trailer breakdown for this film, but I've got to say its release sort of snuck up on me. I'd originally looked it up and I thought it was coming out in May, and it is coming out in May on Blu-ray, but the digital download was just that bit earlier in the last week of April, and it definitely snuck up on me. I spent far too long working on the Space Jam trailer breakdown, so I just didn't have time to put together a trailer breakdown for this film, but make no mistake, I was very hyped for it, and you did hear me talk a little bit about it in my Batman Soul of the Dragon review. But to make up for that, this will not be the only coverage of this film on this channel. No, because this is going to be our no spoiler review, and make no mistake, I will be coming back with a full spoiler breakdown discussion, because there's certain things that I want to talk about and I just can't talk about them here because I don't want to spoil what's going to be happening. But like I said, it's going to be a no spoiler review, so if you've not seen this film yet and you want to decide whether or not it's for you, well, this review is also for you. But before I start this review, I'm just going to ask you to hit that like button because it really helps out the channel and lets the video get seen by so many more people. So to give you a brief summary of what happens in the film, set during World War II, Hitler has a task force of Nazis that are hunting down artifacts with mystical abilities. Think Indiana Jones. And the US decides to combat this when Colonel Steve Trevor forms a team of superheroes known as the Justice Society of America. We've got the Flash, Black Canary, Hawkman, Hourman, and of course Wonder Woman. Then the film cuts a little bit later. The team is already established in helping out with the war effort, but they seem to be a covert operation that not many of the troops or the public know about. And right then, arriving from the future is the Barry Allen Flash, as opposed to the World War II era Jay Garrick Flash that is a member of the team. Now, this version of the Flash is very confused. This is not the history of the world that he remembers, and finds himself unable to get back to his own time, and so teams up with the Justice Society as they need all the metahumans they can get to help them take down Hitler and the Nazis. When a Nazi code is intercepted, they need to break a code breaker out of a Nazi fortress. And I'm going to stop there. I don't really want to get into too many details. Like I said, this is a no spoiler review, and so that's sort of the main mission that the story is centered around, and of course it goes on from there, but I don't want to talk about any of those things. So what are my initial thoughts? Well, I really like this film, like really liked it. Maybe not quite as much as the last two films, Superman Man of Tomorrow and Batman Soul of the Dragon. Go check my reviews out, but that's simply because I absolutely adored those movies. I just loved them. This film as well is also really good. I really enjoyed watching it, just not quite as much as them. That certainly isn't a negative. I absolutely enjoyed this film, and I only had one or two minor issues that I will talk about a little bit later. I thought it was really great to see a film about the Justice Society. We've never really had a film about these, or even a series about these. They normally just get an odd episode in a live action or animated show focused on them every now and again, so it's refreshing to see a whole film dedicated to them and to these different versions of the characters. For instance, the Jay Garrick Flash, this version of Hawkman, a look at Hourman, who I always think has a really cool, interesting set of powers. This early version of Black Canary, who is normally the mother of the version of Black Canary that we usually know. And then as well, this just 1940s-esque version of Wonder Woman. It was all incredibly refreshing to see. Which actually, that brings me to my first point. I do want to talk about the characters of this film, because I do feel like the characters are maybe one of the stronger aspects of the film. Particularly the film's main two characters, that being the Barry Allen Flash and Wonder Woman. So despite this film being called Justice Society World War II, make no mistake, this is truly a Flash movie. He is definitely the centerpiece of the film, he's the protagonist, and he also serves as a sort of audience surrogate, as he, like the audience, is from the present day and doesn't quite understand what is happening in this superhero-filled World War II era. Because much like the audience, as far as he's aware, World War II didn't feature any superheroes. I'm a huge fan of The Flash. I love the TV show. I love pretty much all the animated versions. I've read many Flash comics over the years. So to see a film centered around The Flash, I'm certainly not complaining. The trailer certainly made it clear he was going to be one of the main characters, but I wasn't expecting the film to be quite so centered on him. But that being said, the Flash film that we got was incredibly well done. We've only ever had one animated Flash film before, and that was Justice League The Flashpoint Paradox, which is interesting because that film also wasn't titled as a Flash movie. It was a Justice League movie that just centred on the Flash, much how this is a Justice Society film that centres on the Flash again. I do feel like it's quite odd that Warner Brothers don't feel confident in just having a Flash animated film. I do feel that had this film been titled Flash meets the Justice Society or something of that vein, it would have been slightly more true to what the film actually represents. Because I do think possibly if people went into this film expecting just a true Justice Society movie, they may have been slightly disappointed because, like I said, the focus is shifted more towards the Barry Allen Flash. Now, I personally don't feel like that is a bad thing because, like I said, I love the Flash and the story that they told with him is incredibly well thought out and really entertaining. But I do think maybe you need to go into it managing your expectations. This isn't a true Justice Society film. They're all definitely featured here and I feel like we get a really good look at them, but it's a Flash movie. And as I said, the other lead character of this film is Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman in this film is the leader of the Justice Society. Now, I suppose this may, to some people, draw criticism saying that it's more of a Justice League film, being that the Flash and Wonder Woman are two of the main characters. But I would disagree. It is a Justice Society film, but it's maybe not the JSA that you're thinking of. Think less of the modern era of Justice Society comic books, where they are themselves a completely separate team that runs alongside the Justice League, and they have a very different charter of members. This is more the Justice Society as featured in the Golden Age of comics during World War II, or the Silver Age of comics, all set on Earth 2, where the Justice Society essentially was the Justice League. The Justice Society is the original version of the Justice League. The Justice League was always just meant to be a modern day reboot of the Justice Society, and Wonder Woman herself was a member. Well, here she is the leader of the team, and her design is very clearly based on like the original design. She looks incredibly classic and 1940s-esque, and I think it's definitely a great look for a character, and it works really well, especially in this setting. But you know, it is a war film, and I do feel like her personality is probably more similar to her modern day personality, being the more recent warrior aspects of the character that have been seen in comics throughout the last 20 years, and have also been featured in many of the modern day adaptations, particularly Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman. And also, while we're talking about similarities to Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman, it does appear that the voice actress Stana Katic, giving her a foreign accent similar to Gal Gadot's Israeli accent, which really helps sell home the message that Wonder Woman is from a foreign island. I think she's really strong in this film. Everything that happens, particularly her relationship with Steve Trevor, it's kind of fun and adorable to watch play out throughout this film, and I very much enjoyed it here. And one of the strengths of this film is that it definitely does give each member of the Justice Society either something to do or some sort of story arc or something that just makes them interesting. One of the ways that they highlight the Jay Garrick Flash is that with Barry now being in the same time period, they are both drawing off the Speed Force, and as such, they're both probably only at about half of their normal power, as the Speed Force is being divided between the two of them. So that's certainly an interesting subplot that both Flash characters have to deal with. Black Canary finds herself disenchanted with the fact that the Barry Allen Flash from the future has never heard of them, and questions why they are doing this if their legacy won't be remembered. Hawkman here is the classic reincarnated lover from Egyptian times that longs to be reunited with his wife Shiera. I do think everything they do with Hawkman is very nice, but I also do think that if you are not familiar with the character, that it may be a little bit confusing, because I don't feel like the film ever stops to fully explain the whole reincarnation aspect. They just sort of mention it offhandedly, and they never fully explain who Shiera is, and so if you are wondering why is he talking about a woman called Shiera, well, the film never really tells you, but of course if you are familiar with the character, you know that Shiera is traditionally Hawkgirl or Hawkwoman, depending on the version. That being said, what they did give him, it was very nice to see. And Owlman, of course, his powers are that he takes a serum that gives him super abilities, but only for an hour, and he can only use it once every 24 hours, and so he struggles to find himself being useful in moments, but throughout the bulk of this film, because it's set over a short period of time, he has to wrestle with the idea of being useless and not really being able to help the team without his powers. That being said, there are quite a lot of characters. There are more characters than I have just mentioned, but as you know, I don't want to get into spoiler territory. But just let it be known, there are more characters than the ones I've already mentioned that all have a significant amount of screen time, and as such, none of them outside of the main two characters, Flash and Wonder Woman, really get much development. I do think it's nice that they all have a little bit of something to do, but I think it would have been nicer had the film really just focused in on a few of the characters, the ones that are advertised as being in this film, and really get to tell a truly compelling story with those. That's more a minor negative, because I do feel like what they give us with each character is quite satisfying. I just would have loved to have seen more, and maybe a few less characters would have helped them achieve that. Now, is this film the start of a new DC animated movie universe? Of course, a few films ago, at the end of Justice League Dark Apocalypse War, we had the somewhat finale to the previous DC animated movie universe. Many characters had been killed off, and the film ultimately ended with the Barry Allen Flash running back in time, Flashpoint style, resetting the universe. And the trailers to this film would, of course, have you believe that when we see Barry Allen running back in time and finding himself in World War II, that he's running straight from that film. And I, of course, will not be confirming or denying whether that is the case in this review. But the trailer also led many people to speculate, being that it's the same design style of Superman Man of Tomorrow, as well as the upcoming Batman The Long Halloween, that is this a brand new DC animated movie universe? And well, I will confirm that yes, it is. I won't tell you how, but the film definitely makes it clear that this is set in the same universe, the same continuity as Superman Man of Tomorrow. And it does appear that maybe this is perhaps the universe that was created at the end of Justice League Dark Apocalypse War, and it is most likely that the Batman The Long Halloween Parts 1 and 2 films, which have these same character designs again, while we do not have confirmation, they are most likely also set in the same universe, and we have a whole new universe of continuity to look forward to. And I will say, I like how they are structuring this universe a little bit better. The last universe, just started with the Justice League film and sort of sprung off from there. They had like a line of Justice League films, a line of Batman films, and every now and again they'd throw in a Teen Titans film, a Suicide Squad, a Superman, a Wonder Woman film. Whereas here it feels a little bit more organic. We've started with a Superman film, a Flash film, we're going to have some Batman films, and we've peppered in some crossovers here and there, like in this film we met Wonder Woman. So yeah, it was very nice. One thing I will say about all of its connections to the modern day films, I was very surprised this film had a lot more screen time in the present day period than I was actually expecting. The film is called Justice Society World War II, and so I expected the bulk of the film to be set in World War II. I mean, obviously I'm aware the Flash comes from the future, or from the present, and so you'd expect to see bits of that, maybe towards the start and the end, and really you do. That it is only a bit at the start and the end. Make no mistake, the bulk of the film is set in World War II. And while talking about this shared continuity, I want to talk about the design and animation style. You know, the thing that we know for sure is linking all these films together. And like I said in my Superman Man of Tomorrow review, I really like this style. It feels very graphic and comic book-esque. Now I know in Man of Tomorrow, I did say at times it started to look a little bit jerky, and almost feels somewhat like a motion comic. It didn't feel quite fully animated. And while I said it was nice, I did think it was something that would get old pretty fast. And well, I'm glad to report that in this film, even though it uses that same design style, it isn't the same animation style. This film, as far as I noticed, was pretty much fully animated. I never felt like I was watching static images. Sure, there's always sections in these films where it's not heavy action, it's just more of a dialogue scene. The characters aren't moving much, it's mainly just their eyes and their mouths moving. But that's a cost-cutting measure. Like, when you get to the action scenes, it's always completely fluid, fully animated stuff. You never feel like you're watching this sort of motion graphics, motion comic type thing like I did with Man of Tomorrow, so that was certainly refreshing. The designs themselves, like I said, I really like them. I particularly liked how they had some like 1940s influence, most notably in the design of Wonder Woman. And yeah, I really like this design style. I did talk in my Man of Tomorrow video how that in the last like DC animated movie universe, they all started to look a bit samey. Of course, they were all using designs by Phil Barassa, and I love Phil Barassa's art style. Particularly, I love it on Young Justice. But I also talked about how with Warner was using it on so many different projects, in different series, on all of these films, and as well as films that weren't set in that same continuity. Everything started to look samey, and I definitely got tired of it. not even towards the end, probably about halfway through that universe's run, I've started to get bored of those designs. And I do worry that the same may come into play here. The designs are definitely different and they're very unique, but I also do feel that might make them stand out a bit more. And while now that is currently making these films stand out a bit more, when they all start to look like this, I do worry that these designs may go old really quick. Because like I said, I like these designs. I don't know if I love them. I mean, who knows? Maybe they'll grow on me. But at the minute, it's such a unique design style that I just think it seems like an odd choice to form an entire like multi-film continuity around. I like it, I do, and at the minute I'm really enjoying seeing it. It feels fresh and refreshing, but I will be interested to see how long it's going to take before I will also grow old of this style. Hopefully that's not going to happen, so don't worry, but I could definitely see myself growing tired of this style, especially if almost every film that's coming out is going to start looking the same. It's just that homogeneous look. But you know, like I said, the animation here was improved compared to Superman Man of Tomorrow, so maybe there'll be different ways that it does get changed up over the years, and you know, maybe I'll enjoy it, I don't know. So I did mention earlier there was one or two negatives that I did have on this film, and so I'm gonna sort of explain them here to the best of my ability without spoiling anything. This film is called Justice Society World War II, and you go into this film probably expecting a Justice Society film, and at the very least a World War II era film. And well, technically the film delivers that. The Justice Society are what the film is centred around, and the bulk of the film is set in World War II. I will say I was surprised, firstly, the amount of time in this film set during the present day, in like the modern era. Obviously I knew the Flash was travelling back in time, and so it made sense that we would spend at least a bit of time in the present. I just wasn't expecting quite so much of the film. I mean, it wasn't a big amount of time, but I feel like it was probably nearing on 10 minutes. But that's definitely something I didn't expect from an 84-minute film. You know, that's a significant portion of the film's runtime, really. And as well, even with it being set during World War II, there was certain elements where the story takes the characters in a certain direction. They find themselves in an area with incredibly advanced technology. You know, that there had to be a certain way to up the stakes. We had a group of superheroes going up against just Nazis with just regular old World War II era weapons. Well, I'm not saying it was easy for them to win. When you have a big action sequence near the start that's like that, there definitely needs to be a way that the villains can up the ante as you get towards the film's climax. And so they introduce a concept with like this really advanced technology. We go to a location that you might be familiar with if you're a fan of DC and its characters, but I won't say where it is and what exactly is going on, not until my spoiler review. But you know, let it be known that when you start introducing all this advanced technology and you have an entire set piece centered around this location that isn't a World War II battlefield, you know, it just sort of take away some of like the feelings of watching a World War II era film. Well, technically they never left the time period, it was still set during the 1940s. There was just a significant section of the film that didn't feel like you were watching a World War II film. And this isn't a true negative, there's nothing wrong with that. It was still a good set piece, I enjoyed watching it. Definitely if you're going into this film expecting like Justice Society, World War II, the film itself isn't that, not in its entirety. It's definitely centred around that, but it definitely diverges off and introduces all these different new characters and new concepts, and this period set in the modern day and this period set in World War II with advanced technology. And like, I think if you're looking for a World War II era Justice Society film, you may come away somewhat disappointed because that's not what this film is. And especially because that is what the film was advertised as. A lot of these things that sort of detract from this World War II era, they are spoilery. That's why I'm like dancing around trying to talk about it to you. And so, of course it wasn't in the marketing of the film, but that doesn't stop you feeling like you've been sold the wrong film. I don't know, I can't decide whether or not this is a true negative because I still enjoyed the twists and turns that the film took. It's just not what I was expecting going in. I just want to like let it be known, maybe reset your expectations going into this film. This is a fun DC animated movie centering around the Flash travelling back to World War II. and he meets the Justice Society. Don't go into it being like, this is a Justice Society World War II film, because while it is, it really isn't. Like I said, this isn't a huge negative, but it's something to note when you are looking to watch this film. And yeah, I think I'm gonna stop there because, like I said, a lot of the things I want to talk about, they are kind of spoilery, so I don't want to get into that here. But like I said, I will be doing a spoilery breakdown, so check back like in a few weeks' time for that, because there's a lot to unpack here. What did I think overall? Like I said, I really enjoyed this film, and while having a few minor negatives, as I've discussed, I'm not sure whether they are true negatives. They're just something to think about. I really enjoyed this film. Sure, it's not the best film DC animation has to offer, but if you've seen all of them, you're looking for something new, or if you just think the concept of this film sounds interesting, this is a really good film. Definitely check it out. If you're a fan of The Flash, if you're a fan of Wonder Woman, I do feel like you will really enjoy this film. And if you like most of the DC animated movies, I do think this is definitely one to check out. I think you probably will enjoy it. Just because it certainly isn't one of the best doesn't mean it's not good. It's really good. I enjoyed it. And I do think this film is also going to be an important stepping stone in the creation of this new DC animated movie universe. So if you're planning to watch like future films, maybe you probably are going to have to check this one out. And it's definitely going to be a fun time when you do. Yeah, like overall, I really do recommend this movie. And if you fancy it, go check it out. I have a link down below in the description for places you can purchase it on Amazon UK and Amazon US. And full disclosure, if you buy the film through these links, you will be helping out the channel, and no extra cost to yourself, but I will receive some commission from those orders. Totally no pressure, but if you were planning on buying these films already, like I said, at no extra cost to yourself, you can help this channel out. So if you enjoyed this video and you haven't done so yet, please give this video a big fat like. And if you're new here and you want to stick around, why don't you hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell to be notified the next time we dive down the Tube of Toons. Have you seen this film yet? Do you think it's one for you? Let me know down below. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, everyone. Cheers. Thanks for watching Tube of Toons. If you want more from the channel, hit subscribe. If you want to keep up to date with what's going on, follow us on our socials. Hope you liked it. Cheers.